either. I just forget it. I didn't do shit.
Okay.
Really?
Checking. We should be broadcasting, loading video. And there we are. We are now live. I think I'm signed in as Crit. Unless are you signed in or no?
Mm-hmm.
As CritCast?
Yep.
Oh, I'm not.
Audio is good.
Even me?
Yep.
Even me.
There you go. Now I'm signed in
Yep,
as Scrivian.
Hello, anyone in the chat room?
I can't see anyone.
Hello.
If there are you.
I actually don't need to lean forward to my Yeti mic. It's me, yay! But there's an ad on right now. Not an add-on, but an ad on.
Alright. We're all watching.
Alright, let's play some music. Opening music cue. Probably the wrong song. And welcome this week's CritCast episode 2. Still working on the music. Still working on lots of stuff. We're going to get this going. It's okay. It's okay. It's a learning process. We're going to go. I am Scrivian on Airy Peak in the tank. I'm not reading anything. I'm just kind of brain mentally freezing right now. It's like I got hit by a mage thing. I got
Somebody threw water on you. You're melting. I got it. No.
Yeah, I am.
Hey, it's me. I'm Greer Reaver. Woo! All right.
And then below
trying
me is
to
Az.
fill in for Scrivian's excitement.
Again, that's not below me as. It's below me is as.
I thought his name was Blow Me As. I thought, is that not it? Do you actually have a different...
Do I need to change my name now?
I'm going to have to check the
notes.
Twitch and see what the name tag is. I didn't notice.
We changed Zojak to Blowjack, so yeah, I guess we could end up doing that kind of thing. So, all right, so let's talk about what did we do this week. What's exciting? What's going on?
Well, I know right now that we did Flex 3.
Yes.
Knocked that out. That was fun. It was great.
Yeah.
First night in there for a lot of us.
It was. It was good.
Me,
It was the second time we've seen Malcolm or Macklemore. But
hey.
I just want to say when we did down him, because I did say that he was Macklemore, I was playing Thrift Shop in my headset when we did down him the first time.
Well done.
So it worked out well. So when we get the dual boss of the dual shaman, dark shamans of Macklemore and Ryan, we're set. I'm good. I'm ready.
Good,
ready to go
good
there.
To
I'm
know.
normal.
I'm excited for your preparedness.
It says connect the music and get motivated that way.
That's
Absolutely.
what takes to down it. Let's do it.
So
yeah, whatever gets you going.
Tanks have to be focused. Tanks have to be focused.
Yep.
So yeah, so was it. So we cleared, went through and knocked out Flex Wing 3, and that means that for the first, for us, we have one wing left, and we know we're behind, but we just got back into the raiding and just reformed up. Greer's been pushing and getting everything set. So we went in and knocked out third wing, 3 bosses. First time most of us have seen at least the spoils and Thok the Bloodthirsty on that level. So we're looking forward to getting to them on normal, which actually we are at that point. We finished the first 2 wings in normal, right? No. Oh wait, I'm sorry. We finished the first wing of normal.
First wing.
Plus 1.
We're at Iron Juggernaut. Yeah, that's what.
Yeah, we got to kill the Iron Juggernaut.
I'm confused.
And
yeah, that's where we are.
And Nazgûl.
So, but Az, what'd you do this week? Because I know you were busy doing some PvP stuff.
Oh, PvP was awesome this week. Me, Greer, Broods, Drax, Cash, we all did 5v5s. Everybody got some gear, I believe. most of us capped out for Conquest, which was
Nice.
really nice.
Press Cashmo on his weapon.
Yeah, grats to Cash. PvP's been going really well, though.
Well,
Why am I the only one on the screen?
I don't
I
know.
don't know.
You guys are supposed to be giving me visual cues.
I don't know.
Greer's is
Yeah.
going flash.
I don't
flash.
know. We didn't come
I don't
up
know.
with the
Okay.
cue
We're all here.
beforehand. We'll work on
Yeah.
it.
Okay,
Anyway,
we got it.
so yeah, I mean, yeah, basically, I pretty much did some of the same, everything that you guys did. We raided, obviously. I got to PvP a little bit with Az. I really didn't get to play a lot this week at all. I had some, personal things come up that kept me out of the game for the most part. But I mean, I made it. I made it for our raids. I made it for PvP night. It was really a good week, all in all. For the little bit of gaming time I did, all of it was fantastic. I really didn't have any waste time where I was just flying in circles. So that's a win.
And for me this week, I did the raids. That's what I did.
Yeah.
You got
yeah.
gear.
I did the raids, and I did get.
You did the
4
Tuesday
pieces.
and Thursday raids.
Yes, I did the official raid days, and I got 4 pieces of gear and took my gear level up to 540. So
That's good.
it was
That
a good
is
day.
a good win.
It's a good day.
That
So
was a
let's
good
talk
day.
about. So let's just jump right into this. Let's go with critical hits.
Critical hits. No,
See, now if I record that, I'm good. Now I can use that. I've got
We're gonna
that
do
soundbite
stuff.
now.
We're gonna do stuff. There's gonna be a cool soundbite. It's gonna not suck. It's coming whenever. I won't even say
I need a
soon. Just
vacation to
when we
work on
get
this
there.
stuff. Yeah, we'll get there. We'll get there.
So yeah, I guess I'll start. I'll get us into this. I had everything in nice chronological order, but I'm blowing that out of the water because there's one thing we're gonna talk about first, and then we're gonna get into the real meat of the news for this week because it was heavy. There's a lot some interviews going on, but the first thing is just a short another tidbit on BlizzCon. This week, Blizzard went and released a how-to for Eventbrite. And it's a full walkthrough of the entire process. They even took screenshots along the way to just kind of give you a visual aid along with all their writing. It answers some of the questions we had. There is some sort of queue/waiting room system, but it doesn't sound like it's going to be like before where you can, really change your ticket amounts or anything. And it doesn't necessarily sound like before. It sounds like some people are going to go straight to checkout, and then obviously they probably can't handle everybody at once. So there is a waiting room, and so that should be similar. But like I said, I don't think you can actually change your ticket amount still. And they changed one major thing. Originally, it said you have a 15-minute window once you reach checkout to complete your purchase, and it is actually now an 8-minute window. So you need to know your stuff when it comes time. Like I said, the post has everything. It tells you exactly what you need to know, exactly what you need to do, shows you every step along the way. So if there's anybody still wondering or still dying to get on the old BlizzCon tickets, you definitely want to check that post out before Wednesday. And it's Monday night now, so if you watch this later, you're missing it. So do that.
Yeah, if you're watching this Thursday morning.
Yeah.
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 Well, there's still Saturday. You'll still have Saturday morning.
Look, it's Thursday morning, and you're wondering why you couldn't figure out how to get your tickets. That's
Right.
That's what it's going to be.
I know you guys are really pumped about BlizzCon and not going, but it'll be exciting.
But you know
anyway.
what? I mean, in all honesty, I'd love to go. I just can't do it this year. This year, I just sent with the rest of my family, the extended family, who never watches these podcasts anyway. So, but yeah, I got both my younger twin brothers are both getting married this year. I've got my one brother's graduating from law school, and my niece is graduating from high school. And my wife and I are going on 4 days of vacation. We haven't been on a vacation in 10 years, so it's like we have all these trips. It's not going to
There's
happen.
no way.
No, that ain't gonna
Not
happen
gonna happen.
that much.
I gotta
And the
tell
bad,
you, I
and
still want to
the
go.
bad thing is, if I could figure it out, it would be easy because my mother-in-law, father-in-law, on my wife's side, live in Anaheim.
See,
So
yeah.
I've got babysitting.
If I remember
got-
last year, didn't
Yeah.
you visit them like a month before BlizzCon?
Yeah,
or you
and that's
visited
what
that
happened.
area?
Well, we thought it was going to work out. Yeah, we went there a month before last year, and we thought it was going to work out because before that, each year before it had been in October, and then last year for some reason. It was
Yeah,
November,
and now
it's
it
like-
is. Yeah, again. But yeah, so that's BlizzCon stuff, man. Check the walkthrough out and go. Even if you're like these guys and you can't go anyway.
Yeah.
Or get the virtual ticket because it's a good time. Although it's more fun to be there by far.
I'm waiting for us to get about 900 more members, and we schedule CritCon.
Nice.
Yeah, there we go.
And we're not going to be afraid like Blizzard. We'll actually do CritCon, and we'll go to Vegas.
Oh.
Because whether they come for CritCon or not, we know we could probably get a lot of people to come to Vegas.
Yeah.
It's not like Blizzard.
the guild.
Come on, it's a lot farther for them to go to Vegas. Anaheim's like down the street. It's all close for them.
Yeah, but
it's right there.
it's so packed in, and so few people get to go. I mean, how many more tickets could they sell if they could rent out multiple?
It's not like there's no other arenas around. I'm sure there's a reason, but yeah, I'm sure they could sell more tickets too if they really wanted to.
But we know Blizzard does not care about money, so that's okay.
Right.
They're not about the money. They're about the game. Only about the game.
Undoubtedly, yes, because that's how all businesses are run and successful.
Of course. All right, let's talk about.
Yeah, go ahead.
I want to talk about the new raid structure, group finder stuff that they're bringing out, because I think this is a good idea. Finally, do it. And again, and the thing that kills me is you see other games coming out, or you see games that are established, whether it's what's a Rift, a Final Fantasy, or any of these other games. I can't figure out why they can't. I mean, maybe they see what Blizzard's doing and they may think, oh, that's just a phase or whatever. I think Blizzard has got raiding. They're taking it to exactly where it should have been, always, where there are so many options for the players on what they can do that, again, they're going back to what they were doing before also, right? Starting this off, I mean, looking at the notes and stuff here. Starting it off is they're breaking the loot tables up, right?
Yep.
So the loot tables will be different from normal heroic, mythic versions of the raids.
The loot tables are
the raid
different.
Finder. Raid Finder
is different. Yeah,
Raid Finder will be different. So you're not going to get tier gear out of Raid Finder.
Yes. Yeah. Basically, they obviously Blizzard put out a 3-part dev water cooler this week that went from basically vanilla through Warlords and covered all the history of raiding. And the third part was specifically about Warlords of Draenor, and one of the big things in there that everybody is most akin to talking about is the changes for LFR. They are giving LFR its own loot table. There will be all the same items will be in there. There'll be gear, there'll be trinkets, there'll be whatever, but they won't be the same gear and the same trinkets that you find in normal and above. So major trinkets that you find that are that you really feel like you have to keep running LFR to get because any version of it is a huge upgrade. They're doing away with that in the LFR tier entirely, basically. I mean, I think it's great. I know a lot of people, if LFR is your main focus, you probably don't like this change. But I would say if you did any raid tier above that, like majoritatively, and that's probably not true. I won't speak for everybody, but I'll speak for myself. It's great. The idea is they're going to create, I try to create 2 separate paths where normal dungeons and LFR are one path of raiding, and we're actually starting to get into the dev interview that was done by Wowhead and Olivia D. Grace. And basically these sort of run together because this is what they've been talking about all week is the rating structure. But basically they have what in their mind they have a more solo-oriented path, and then what they consider a more group-oriented path. And the solo would be your normal queue dungeons, and then you're queuing LFR and you're just winning. That's just a win. You're going to win that. And then there is the group-oriented path where you're probably doing it with your friends. Maybe you pass the what is it called? I don't know. I can't remember right now. The Proving Grounds, so that you can do heroic dungeons. Right. Then you do heroic dungeons, which in theory should have a similar loot quality to LFR. So if you want to do heroics and then jump into normal, that should be a path you can follow. And if you really want to skip LFR, you can. Obviously, the first tier, when you're doing heroics and you don't have every piece of gear, LFR will, in theory, still have something for you if you're trying to get every piece of gear you possibly can get at the beginning. But they are taking it out of the gearing path if you don't want it.
Well, one of the things I look at along with the same topic is that they're separating the raid lockouts for each of the different difficulties. So there are going to be 4 lockouts: LFR, normal, heroic, mythic, right?
Yep.
Okay. My concern is raiders have always felt, and in the past, if you remember that the loot tables were different, back in vanilla, into vanilla, go into Cataclysm and all that stuff, where there was a different loot table for 10 and 25, and then lockouts. I mean, at one point in WoW, we had the point where we had the separate lockouts, and players felt that they had to do each of the different levels to get the gear to compete. So, I mean, are we as raiders, do we think that we're going to end up getting to the point again where we're looking at it going, okay, Greer's going to kick me in the butt because if I don't knock out my LFRs this week, followed by my normals this week, and pug a heroic this week, so I'm ready for my mythic run this week.
Now, here's the way it's going to work. Tier 1, fresh 100, all that gear is going to be useful to you. But the way Ian explained it, Ian Hazakazis, the encounter designer, is actually lead game designer now, I think, in general. The way he explained it is that once you get past that initial, gearing up process, the idea, their goal is to have you focused on 2 tiers of rating for gearing. So, if you're LFR, you know what I mean, let's say you do normal rating, if you're doing only normal rating, then LFR is probably gonna gear you up along with heroic dungeons, and whatever. Now, once you get to Mythic, if you're killing bosses in Mythic and you're killing bosses in Heroic, very quickly there will be absolutely no need for you to kill anything in Normal as far as gearing goes, and anything below that, and then it continues on from there. And they say at some point, if you're doing Mythic consistently, you should get to a point where you really don't even need to run Heroic anymore. Yes, you do, sir. But yeah, so the idea is that, you'll be running 2 tiers, basically, is what their goal is. And we'll see how good they do at it. Because that's what they said, that the way it's basically how it is now. If you run Heroic, you generally only need, maybe a piece from Normal, but you generally need to run Heroic. And they said now, the way the trinkets are in Siege, there were some that are so overpowered that maybe, even if you're a Heroic Raider, if you haven't got the upgrade, you might drop down and try to get the Flex one. But ideally, two raids. 2 raids a week. That's the goal.
And they're also changing the looks of the gear. Not to mention that the the LFR gear, or the new lower raid gear, will not look the same.
Yeah, the LFR gear will be a completely separate loot table. So the looks will be different, the gear will be different.
One of the other changes, or some of the other changes that they're making, is taking out the whole linear format, which I think is a good idea as well. Because kind of, I mean, if you think about it, throw reality to the side, right, and get out of it and step into a fantasy MMO kind of a world where you are this band of adventurers on a raid into this place to destroy evil. If you're playing that, if you remember the old pen and paper D&D, unless the dungeon master forced you to go in a linear fashion, it wasn't. You went in, and you get to, the dungeon master says you come down the hallway, you come to a split, you're at a 4-way section, and you came in from the south. Which way do you go? And that was it. You're like, oh crap, what do you guys want to do? Let's go to the right. Okay, cool, let's go to the right this time. I mean, you think about it, you're getting back to more that style of being able to do that with opening wings up. One of the other things is that we know the way that they've done design in the past, and you've heard them talk in various interviews and dev blogs and stuff, where they say, well, yeah, you get to the first boss is kind of it's a sort of a gear check, but most groups are probably going to down him. The second one is a DPS check, and the third one is this. But then you start getting the guild, especially the world clearing guilds, and they start getting into where they're like, okay, the first 5 bosses on week 2, first 5 bosses on farm, let's just go. And one of the things they're adding in, or they're going to allow us to do, is to skip, or basically we'll be able to skip bosses. Or skip content, which is kind of cool, because we get to a point in a raid where it's like, you think about raid progression. Week 1, we go in there, we kill the first 2 bosses. Week 3, we kill the first 3 bosses. Week 4, we kill the first 5 bosses. It's like, okay, we've killed the first boss 6 times in a 10-man group. Does anyone need any more loot off the first boss? No. We got to get through him so we can continue on without doing lockouts, because we need to gear off the other guys. I mean, I'm exaggerating saying in a 5-week period, but on a 2-month period where you're raiding twice a week going through there. I mean,
yeah,
it
you're
kind of
right.
makes it
and
a little bit better, and allows for more progression.
It's just awesome. I mean, right, like breaking into wings again is something I think like that worked great in Naxxramas. But then the what they're talking about is almost like an attunement crystal. Like essentially, let's say you clear wing 1, 2, and 3 4 times each. Then from then on, not only can because you could always choose 1, 2, or 3 depending on what bosses you needed to kill, but then you'd be able to like get a crystal and you would teleport. Like if you let's say, like Naxxramas is what they used. If you clear all the wings and then you go up top and you kill the dragon and you kill Kel'Thuzad. Essentially, if you had cleared all the wings 3 times, you'd then be able to just port straight to the dragon, kill Kel'Thuzad, and then in theory you could still go back and clear those other bosses for gear and whatever. But I think it's just awesome. The jumping around, the ability to focus progression without holding raid lockouts is going to be awesome. Awesome.
I agree.
I think so. I agree.
Awesome
I mean, just looking at it, especially when you get down to doing the two types of, as we talked about earlier in the show, where you're talking about doing the two levels of raiding, even if you're at the point where you're doing, okay, we're going to do normal and mythic, or heroic and mythic, or LFR, or whatever your 2 levels are. Once you get to gear stabilized, right? This is what you're talking about. The next tier of gear, the next tier of dungeon or raids comes out, and you move up to that, and you're only doing 2 versions of the 4 that are available because that's where your gear level is. It allows you to do those kinds of things. That I think it's gonna make it a little bit easier to say, because that 1 week, or we did it for 2 weeks in a row, where we did flex one night, we did LFR and flex and normal, and I tell you what, I was tired of fighting the first Immersius. I was like, all right. I mean, it's not that hard. We can do it.
3 nights on
Here
the
we
same
go
boss and different.
for the third night. Third night doing this boss because we're doing a different level. I mean, that sucked. So it'd be cool to go, okay, yeah, we got him. We've got him on farm, but we need to gear some new guys up, so we're going to skip him on normal or whatever. Whatever. Just skip him in LFR and we'll do him on normal.
Oh yeah, the freedom is something that I think it's something they should always do, and it's cool that they seem to think so too, and hopefully it continues. Obviously, I expect the first 2 raids to be that way, and then we'll see how the tier, or the expansion progresses. But it's super awesome.
Now, I got a question here for Az, because I know Az is like the luckiest person in the guild because he had like 400 Burdens of Eternity drop in the first 2 days that he was playing, and not only, I mean, they were dropping so much so that they stopped sending them to him, and he was logging into his alts, and they were just in the mail.
Yeah.
Even though they're bound. So as you're pretty lucky, and I know you use your coins, and you get lucky sometimes. You get lucky pretty good on the coins as well, I think. What do you think about the new way that they're doing coins, kind of taking it away from right now? It's easy. You go out, you do dailies, you do the island, you do stuff, and they rain these other little coins on you, the old tokens on you. You get so you turn in 50 and get 3, but now they're kind of going to spread it out amongst the game. What do you think? From that whole thing for the bonus rolls?
I think it's a good idea in some aspect. It'll help kind of slow the absolute progression with the way the new raid is set up. I'm not really sure on how a lot of the casual people will like it.
Well, I think the real issue is the way it reads and what they're saying doesn't. The way I first read it, I was like, oh, you're only going to get 1 at a time, and I assumed, okay, you're not going to need to get 50 a week. And then I realized that what they're saying though is the 1 seal is not like you're going to get 1 lesser charm of fortune that you have to get 50 of to then turn into get 3. They're saying, I think they're saying you're going to get a seal. So instead of just running around killing mobs and getting a bunch of them to drop, you'll go do a quest from your garrison.
To unlock
you'll take out one of their randomized activities that they haven't really explained what all those are. And then maybe you'll do something else, and then you got your 3 a week. And you could still do that in 10 minutes on Tuesday morning, I think, if you want to. So as far as
I'm gonna be all over that garrison
speed that you'll be able to get them, I think it's not going to change. They're just, they're trying to make it like more ways to do it so that you don't have to do it the same way every week. It's not like now where it's like I went out to the Timeless Isle for the first 2 weeks
that
it existed. well, you know, it existed for the first 2 weeks, and then now I've never needed another Lesser Charm, and I probably won't for the rest of the expansion because I have, you know, 2,200 saved up or something like that. You know what I mean? And so now you're not doing anything every week for them. And I think they want to try to bring back the idea that you earn them each week, but still not make it very difficult to do. And that's to me, that's all right.
Well,
like it's
one of the other things yeah, exactly, and I think that's one of the things I like about it is being able to once we figure out how you get them. I mean, I'm looking to the point that I can, hey, they're giving me choices to do my garrison stuff. Like I said, I'm really looking forward to the garrison, so you're giving me options to do a part of the game that I enjoy. I mean, maybe there is a way to do some PvP and get one, or maybe there's a way to run some heroic dungeons and get one, or the kinds of things that you like to do, so you can sit there and say, you know what, or when you get tired of them, when they start feeling like daily, I hate dailies, but so when if it starts feeling like, oh my god, I got to log in every day and do my garrison, maybe I'll just log in and do a heroic scenario and get a token, and that'll be like, cool, I didn't have to do my garrison today. I got my token.
It mentions Ashran, so you go to the open world PvP zone and maybe you get one, which is technically getting PvE from PvP, but you know how people love that, so it'll be exciting.
It's got the same stats, right? All the stats all cross over.
Well, and you know, I don't know if you saw the part 2. It looks like they're combining a lot of the gear sets as far as visual look. So honor gear now is going to be the same like visual as like your LFR gear. So like the loot table in LFR will have all the same visual looks as your honor gear, and then your conquest gear will be similar looking to your raid gear, your valor quality gear, they say, and then mythic raid gear will be, it'll be similar, like it'll be reskins, new colors, and then the mythic raid gear will have, like nifty wings that pop out of it, or a halo that, something visual that's not necessarily, and that will be the same as like the 2200.
I like the halo on my priest.
So basically the mythic will be that prestige level, just like getting 2200 is, and there'll be that prestige level of gear that shares a similar look for whether you're the best in PvP or the best in PvE. You'll have a similar "we're more epic than you" look, and that's it. So that's whatever. I don't know if I really like that they're all It sounds like they're making less art as a whole by doing that, but I don't know. Maybe separating the LFR tier is more art, and
that's kind of what we did in Star Wars. Remember in Star Wars, it was the same. I mean, every tier was the same. All the design, whether it was PvE or PvP, when the new tier was introduced, and it was whatever the highest level PvP gear looked exactly like, style-wise, exactly like the highest level of raid gear, was just a different color. So you could still tell. I mean, you could look at somebody and say, oh, that guy's a badass in ranked PvP, because ranked PvP was the highest gear, and it's all black with silver lining, and the raid gear is all gold with silver lining. They look exactly the same, but it's just different. So, I don't know. I think it kind of makes sense. I think it might be sharing or showing a visual accomplishment check. These guys are at the top of the game on the PvE. These guys are at the top of the game PvP.
Yeah. And I can see that on that top level where you can really see the prestige difference. But I don't know. To me, it's like the honor gear. I think PvP gear and PvE gear could look different, and that's. I mean, I think I prefer it that way. Personally, I don't really care because I'm not much of a stare at my character's gear person. I care on a very small degree. Like I look at it and I'm like, I like that or I don't. But that's about as far as it gets. So it's not too big of a deal.
I agree with you, Greer. I'm not one to transmog my gear.
Let's hit the next big thing in here, because this is a huge one, and it is the talk of dungeons. They did a little bit of discussing in the interview about dungeons, and while they did not guarantee or confirm that there will be dungeons further on in the expansion, they do want to add more dungeons mid-tier or mid-expansion, so that because it was a huge complaint, and it was after adding them for several expansions. Doing that, not doing it is awful. So I'm really glad they're going to do it. And they said that one of their biggest problems with doing it is that it obsoletes old dungeons. So they have talked about perhaps when they do decide to add new dungeons, then adding a mythic tier to normal to the regular dungeons, and then allowing them to also have increased loot so that they're not obsolete, and then you just have new dungeons and a bigger
Oh, they've
pool.
got the scaling down. I think. I mean, the scaling with the LFR.
Yep.
Anyway, did changing difficulty. I would think you could do it by gear score too, but whatever.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean,
Changes
honestly,
difficulty.
like, who doesn't want more dungeons throughout the thing? It was a big deal. So
Oh yeah, I mean, yeah.
really glad.
My Pandaria was kind of disappointing because it was like, okay, you get 2 dungeons.
And the way they ran them, there wasn't
Okay,
really, there was like
then
no
there's
max
another
level
one.
dungeons, and it was a poor system.
I kind of like getting the max level, and then you have more dungeons to do. It's like, ooh, all right,
Yeah.
cool. We got the level 100
Right.
dungeons. Let's do these.
Breaks up the monotony of things.
Yeah. Yep. Well, the other thing, one of the other things they're talking about is garrisons being a huge thing, and we still don't have the full story on them, right?
Well, not.
Wasn't there
gosh.
supposed to be a dev blog? Didn't they say in the last couple of weeks that there would be one within the next
They
month?
have.
thought?
I think what they have is a multi-part, large
All about garrisons.
info blog where it's
I haven't
that will be
have you
all
seen-
about garrisons, and it's still to be determined on when that will come out, but it is coming soon.
And they keep my thing. I'm hoping is again, and they say it's not going to be glorified farms like the farms were.
That's what they say. It's I mean, it already sounds like it's. I mean, the farm is you freaking. It's materials. That's all.
Yeah, but
it
you ran
was.
out. But you ran out. I mean, now you don't even need it anymore.
Right.
So
Well, that's
the farm is irrelevant.
it's all materials. That's all it ever was. And so you could, if you just preferred to just go get the materials another way, which after farming for a while, you went back to just flying around gathering materials because you just don't. It's so easy, but you just don't want to do it. This is, garrisons are so much more in depth, obviously. Followers, raid gear, whatever. But one of the things that they specifically talked about in this is obviously everybody's big concern about garrisons is that if you're a raider, being able to get raid gear from them makes them a mandatory part of your gearing up process. And what they were talking about is that if you're really like cutting edge raiding, which are usually the people who are complaining about having to do every single tier because you're trying to get the most advantage that you can to kill everything that you can. They said that by the time that you unlock your garrison and level it up along the way, if you're a mythic geared raider, you're probably not going to need the gear that you can get from your garrison. They said that you will be able to get even heroic quality raid gear occasionally from your garrison, but it's going to take several weeks of building it up and progressing it and buying things before you get to the point where your followers can go on that kind of raid for you and bring you back gear. And by then, if you're seriously raiding, you should probably have that gear or some of it. And it won't be, like something that you just have to do to get gear, but it does provide another form of gear. And that's, the true raiders that complain about this will tell you that it doesn't matter if it's long or whatever. If it provides a chance at gear, then it's mandatory. Because the whole point is you have to get every piece. And while I disagree, I see where that mindset is.
You were saying about how you can get materials and stuff from your garrison and stuff like that. Well, maybe that might not be such a bad thing since they are not allowing flying during the first part of Warlords. So gathering materials may not be so easily.
Right. Well, I mean, gather material. Like for me, the when I went to, I don't know if you've been on Wowhead, but I suggest going there. They have this freaking excellent garrison calculator, basically like a talent calculator. You can place all the buildings. You can see them leveled up. You can see what they do. They're not all exact yet because not everything has been released, but they've done an awesome job of compiling what the information is and at least putting it in there. It's on Wowhead, wowhead.com. I think it's probably at their, Warlords, wad.wowhead. But I mean, it is freaking awesome. You can really see, and like for me, flying's not there, so my garrison's going to have a stable, for sure, a rank 3 stable, because the stable, each time you level it up, is an increase in riding speed. And when 300% flying goes away, I'm going to want my riding to go from 100 to 130 at least. I'm going to try to get it as fast as I can because you're going to want to move around. And it's just going to be all these things where, it'll provide little boosts in certain areas like the riding or the whatever, or you'll be able to mine, or you'll be able to, make some plate armor, even if you're a tailor and you only work with cloth. If you build a blacksmith, that's what you can. And it's just and the way that they're trying to make it is they said they don't want it to feel like dailies. They want it to feel like something you have to do every day. You do get a daily allotment of quests that you get, from the people in your garrison and whatever. But you also have like an allotment where you can build that up. So if you don't want to do it daily, you can let them accumulate and maybe do it weekly instead. And so it's not going to be something you have to do every day, but they want it to be an integral part. So I'm interested to see how much. It sounds like it's going to be tied to everything in Warlords. It's going to be a part of everything that we do, and so I don't know. It's cool.
Yeah, I think it'll be neat.
Now, Greer, having been, again, being the one who's leading Critical Moment in the world of Warcraft and being the guild leader / raid leader, which is always challenging to do this anyways. In our bonus damage section tonight, we got a question, and we decided to take only this question this week because it is a huge question. It's a big question, and it's one that you get asked every time somebody new joins the guild or one of our old buddies decides, hey, I think I'm going to come back to WoW. How long is it going to take me to get ready to raid? And the question is, how do you gear up?
Yeah, that was it. I mean, essentially, we pulled it from the forums. It's a forum topic that somebody posted, and their question. And in fairness, we're going to answer it from a more general standpoint. They were, I think, asking how you. Really, their question was more, how do you get these people who want you to have 550 gear for a flex? How do you ever get 550 gear when flex drops 540 and you can't get in unless you have 550? That was really the question, but I figured we would just tackle the gearing up. Because obviously, as we've been rebuilding, we've been getting a lot of boosted 90s, a lot of us boosted 90s. Every time we have someone come back, pretty much now, it's a boosted 90 because, everybody's old tunes are even further back in gear or other servers or whatever because we all move around all the damn time. And so we thought we'd just talk about all the different ways to get gear. And, obviously right now, with the new PvP season, PvP gear is, the way to go if you're trying to get above the LFR tier and beyond LFR as well, but into that flex rating eye level, the 510 to 5, depending on what group you're in, 510 plus, somewhere in that range. And obviously, so honor gear right now is 522. I know and a lot of us, we run different people. There's obviously lots of ways to earn honor, and all that gear is 522. Or you can grab somebody and step into the entry-level arenas and get whooped a little bit and get some wins along the way. And then Conquest gear is actually 550 eye level, which is really, you get a full 550 set. You're at least going to be able to handle flex, and you'll probably be able to step in normal and do some pretty
what's the crossover? Because I know we've got a couple of guys who have some PvP gear, which does jack up their gear score, but they're still not producing the damage that a PvE
the crossover
high gear
is what it is. A 522 piece is the same as a 522 piece of PvE. What you're missing is you're not getting set bonuses. Obviously, PvP doesn't provide trinkets that are useful in PvE. But I mean, as far as if you just have a non-specific epic chest that's 550, the 550 PvP piece is equivalent to that. So the crossover exists. The way that they've controlled the crossover is they keep the PvP item levels lower than the PvE one. So basically, current raid gear is 553, and the best PvP gear you can get is 550. Got it. So but in theory, the crossover is the same. And then so then we go on, and then there's the Shadowpan Assault vendors, which are currently the best Valor gear that you can buy. Because Valor is all upgrades now, basically, and that's 522 gear, and they have, if you run Throne of Thunder and get repped out with them, they have rings, chest, shoulders, pants, trinkets,
all the hard things to get.
They have essentially everything. They have almost every slot. So that's obviously, and then there are some crafted pieces if you know what armor type you wear, and you got some gold. Really, the 522s are not very expensive, and even the 553s, because of the way that they're crafted now, with the daily crafting mat that really doesn't cost crafters a lot to make. It's just a time thing.
Mm-hmm.
They're not selling for nearly as much as you would think.
Yeah, I think I saw like plate legs for one time on there for like 6,000 gold.
Yeah,
which
they're
is really cheap.
really reasonable. Not in the 20K like you would think. Like gear,
Right,
current grade
release.
tier gear usually is way up there, and they're much more reasonable. And then obviously you get justice points from running dungeons, and those can also be converted to honor. So then that's pushing you toward the 522. And then there's of course there's LFR. Everybody loves LFR. But
See,
528
no,
gear,
I mean,
double upgraded, it's 536. I mean, that's putting you into that.
See, I am a fan of the LFR over the other ways of doing it. Because I think even when we came back this time, especially coming back into tanking, maybe it depends on the role. For tanking, I was like, all right, I'm gonna get my gear what I can. Then I go into the LFR and I can queue as a tank. And well, besides the instant queue, but it's more of the LFR is a little more forgiving for me to learn to make sure. I mean, this is the first time I'm tanking in WoW. I tanked in other games, just not in. I was always healing. So.
I think if you go into LFR and you use it right, you can learn the majority of real fights in LFR. Just most people don't do them. But it is what it is. The gear's decent. It'll get you into a flex raid if you get a full set. Again, if your problem is that you're 533 like this guy, you can't get into a flex raid, you probably need to just find people who aren't douchebags, because there's no reason you wouldn't be able to get into at least the first couple wings of flex at 533.
He should just make his own.
But then there is, of course, the world bosses. The current tier were the Celestials. Because the PvP season changed over, they now drop 553 gloves and pants, but also they drop 550 offset items for PvP. So that's another way to get some conquest pieces. I actually got the cape. It's the first PvP piece I got. I got the back this week.
I got the boots.
And then there's still Nalik and Undasta, should you be able to find a group. Things like OQ help for that. And they're still 522 gear, so it's not a waste. And there's just so many ways to get gear. So if you need gear, you find some people who don't suck that wanna do it with you, because it's a million times better to play the game with friends, just in general. And yeah, man, you can gear up super quick. So if you just come back and you feel behind, you're only going to be behind for a couple weeks, especially if you come back and join us, because we're friendly and helpful, damn it. We will gear you up, and we will put you in the raid, and then we will yell at you if you fail. So
I boosted in within 10 days. I had 535.
Yeah.
On 2 sets.
Again, though, I mean, that helps that you got.
Most people do not get 475 burdens in their first 10 days. This results may vary.
All right, so we have any shout-outs this week for anyone you want to do a shout-out to?
I'll let Az go first.
Az, shout-outs.
Yeah, I'd like to give a shout-out to all those people that have been joining and showing up for PvP. Greer Reaver, Brewery, Cash, Drax, and me. It's been great. We are looking for 5 more people for Rated Battlegrounds. So if any of you out there are interested, come on in.
Awesome. How about you, Greer?
Honestly, I was going to shout out PvP folk too, so I'm just going to let Az take that shout out. Obviously, I will back him up though. We do need some more people for RBGs. We have almost a legitimate fives team at this point. I mean, I think we might have a couple people hit 1550 in fives pretty soon, which is not legitimate. But honestly, I didn't have a PvP achievement. And then my shout out was going to be to my man Bruce, and it still will be, I guess, because he worked with me. He's been he's not. I don't want to say he's carrying me. I try to do my part, but he's the stronger of the two of us in our twos team. And he's been working with me. I got my first twos. I got 1550 in twos.
Nice.
And
nice.
That's a first for me. So thanks, Broods. You're my freaking hero.
My shout out goes to the pugs that join us on Flex Night, because I certainly appreciate most of them. There are some who are really asleep at the keyboard, but there have been a couple that have come in and have actually performed. Mostly because we always usually need one healer, and the healers have been pretty decent
and friendly.
And friendly.
Shout out to switching to Mumble, because I really think that's
we shifted to Mumble this week. So
friendly,
we'll see how that works.
Friendlier way to get folk, because people hate TeamSpeak. Hey, secret side note. What's with all the TeamSpeak hate? What's the deal? It's just voice chat. It's the same. Figure it out. Let me know. I have all three.
We've used all three. Yeah, I've got all three loaded on my computer.
Yep.
I hear no difference. There's no performance difference between any of them. There's no lag, no nothing. But okay, we went to Mumble, so we'll get more people supposedly. We'll see.
Mumble.
So, all right. Well, I hope everyone has a great week this week. It's been a good show. Greer, Az.
See you guys. It was freaking awesome. Thanks for watching. You guys rule. Red.
Awesome.
Bring some questions in, people.